Sanibonani lapho emakhaya and welcome to another episode of Bona Retsang. It is now time for the only youth news and magazine show dedicated to you guys, the youth of Mzansi.
Remember that this show is a platform for you to voice your views and any issue that is affecting you and your community. So do drop us your views on our Facebook page or you can tweet at us at Bona Retsang. If this is your first time watching the show, welcome, and do make sure that you check out our active website for more information on the show and the awesome presenters.
Thanks for that, PK, but right now I'm ready to find out what we have in store for you guys on today's show. So let's not waste any more precious time and check out today's lineup.
First up, we find out more about the ritual of women's circumcision.
We then hook you up with all the latest entertainment news on Mgosi.
Then on Stump Tour, we explore ADHD.
And of course, Bugaman Boba gives us his wrap-up of this week's news.
It's going to be a jam-packed show, so make sure that you stay right where you are. But now it's time for Big Buzz, where Gina, our BR reporter, explores a ritual that some South Africans don't even know exists.
We all know about male circumcision, but most of us know very little about, if anything at all, when it comes to female circumcision. And this is perhaps South Africa's best kept secret.
I don't know anything about female circumcision.
No, I basically don't know that.
I've heard some things about female circumcision whereby they say angazi bayenzani, but they also have female circumcisions going on in South Africa.
Hassan Islo gives an analysis of female circumcision in South Africa.
Female genital mutilation is an old practice that has been in Africa for a very long period of time. Even here in South Africa, in areas of Mpumalanga, the Western Cape, and even migrant communities practice this brutal practice. Well, female genital mutilation involves the cutting of the female clitoris, and it's basically done. Those who do this advance their reasoning, claiming that they do this practice in order to avoid infidelity, to also avoid premarital sex, and to also keep the virginity of the girl child until the time of marriage.
As June approaches, a number of girls around Bushbuck Ridge in Mpumalanga, as well as small towns in Limpopo, will undergo what they consider a rite of passage.
I wouldn't allow anyone to come cut my VJJ because it's mine, not theirs.
I wouldn't like a person to come and cut my vagina because I'm a Zulu and I feel proud of who I am, and I wouldn't feel it like God made me who I am, so I wouldn't like it if someone come and cut it off. So yeah, I like it the way it is.
This practice is a very cruel practice. It is not done for any medical reasons. It's purely done for selfish reasons, and it creates a lot of pain to the girl child or to the woman. Those school children who actually have undergone this kind of brutal traditional practice should come forward and speak against it. We need to see people speaking against female genital mutilation. In the process, the message will get on to government, and I'm sure that government will do something about this.
To speak out against female genital mutilation, join the 1 Billion Rising protest this Sunday, May 18th, right here at Wits University, or go to our Facebook page, Bona Retsang, for other contact details.
I am sure that this story is going to be debated a lot. With the World Health Organization trying to put an end to this ritual, one would then debate and say that they have a right to practice their traditions. Anyways, next on the lineup is World What's Up, and today we take a look at an issue that is experienced all over the world: xenophobia.
Ten Afghan migrants were shot dead last week, and a further 8 were wounded by Iranian border guards as they illegally crossed the border. Hundreds of Afghan citizens illegally cross into Iran monthly in search of work. The Iranian Interior Ministry also blamed its own border guards for allowing laborers to cross without visas nor passports. Similarly, South Africa experiences a large number of immigrants crossing the border from Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Nigeria, and other African countries to try make a life for themselves. While many cross the border illegally, should we discriminate against them, or are there alternative ways to ensure that we all live together peacefully.
I think immigrants should be allowed to come into South Africa, but there should be laws that bind people not just to come in and out as they please. So there should be some limit to them. They do help us because the shortage of our teachers, they come in and they add on the shortage.
I feel bad about people from other countries coming to our country because they finish jobs for our parents. Now my mother doesn't work.
I think people who are different from us should be treated equally because they're also human beings, and we also, South Africans also ran to their countries during the apartheid era, and they also treated them the same, like equally, so they should also be treated equally.
2008 saw a wave of violence spread through the country as locals confronted foreign nationals and clashed over employment and crime. Thought to be responsible for stealing jobs and the increase in crime, those who were considered outsiders had their lives and livelihoods threatened as shops and homes were burned down and people were assaulted in a series of xenophobic attacks.
A lot of the things that we hear, like people are coming in to take our jobs, people come in to take like our women and this sort of thing, when we actually look at these realistically and carefully, we find that that's not really true, and that in fact, for example, people coming in from countries like Zimbabwe often create work. They often end up employing South Africans and actually certainly contributing to the economy, making us all better off in the long run.
As we move towards Africa Day on May 25th, let us remind ourselves of the values of Ubuntu, oneness. Let us educate and not discriminate, help, not harm, and always remember to respect one another.
A very powerful message that we can all take from today's World WhatsApp is we need to value Ubuntu and not discriminate but respect each other. But now let's see what has been making headlines in the news this past week on News Recap.
A 13-year-old girl from Port Elizabeth became the youngest South African to win the World Chess Federation Women's International Master title last Monday. Charlize Vansel, a pupil at Collegiate Girls High School, won the women's division of Africa Zone's 4.3 championships in Gaborone, Botswana. 11 African countries competed. The Education Department and the school governing body of Rivonia Primary have been arguing for over 2 years now over who should have the final say when it comes to the number of pupils a school can admit. The Schools Act says that parents of pupils at a given school can decide the number of learners a school accommodates. The Gauteng Education Department can override this decision, considering there is a shortage of schools in the province. The two parties were scheduled to appear in court last Wednesday. Winter has come again, and while many of us are running around looking for gloves and scarves, let us not forget to play our part when it comes to using electricity wisely. A lot of us will be using heaters and taking very long hot baths to keep warm this season, but using too much electricity in your home could lead to forced power outages by Eskom, which will leave your entire neighborhood in the dark. Remember to switch off lights in rooms that are not being used. Turn off your geyser until 2 hours before you need to use hot water. Snuggle in a blanket instead of using the heater to keep warm. And if you can, try take shorter baths so there can be enough hot water for everyone in the house.
Yo, Zach, my boy, this winter is going to be freezing, and I'm sure you're going to try by all means to keep yourself warm. But you know what, my friend, let's try by all means to use electricity wisely.
I have to agree with you on that, PK. Let's make a promise, and you at home, please do the same. Now, guys, so much has been happening in the world of entertainment, especially here in Mzansi. So let's get the lowdown on Umgosi.
Roll out that red carpet because it's time for another edition of Umgosi. Dozens of celebs strolled down the yellow carpet, some looking good and others not so good for this year's SAMAs. Now, if you missed out on all the broadcast action, have no stress because here is the lowdown. Dominating this year's awards was pop star Toya DeLazy, who opened the show with an out-of-this-world performance dressed in an alien outfit, which many, yes, many didn't approve of. But this didn't keep the star down because she took home 3 SAMA awards. Hip-hop star Kuli China finally got the spotlight that he deserved when he took home Best Hip-Hop Artist, Best Male Artist, Best Rap Album, and Album of the Year. Halala shine, Kuli! Congrats to all the SAMA winners, but I have to ask how Kelly Kumalo can be the Female Artist of the Year. I'm sure you can agree with me, but I haven't heard any songs from the so-called songstress. In other entertainment news, the Beepster has taken over Mzansi. Woohoo! Many young Bieber fans made their way to the FNB Stadium for the awaited concert. The young Bieber fans, of boys and girls, were all screams and some even fainting. I'm sure after the concert, the parents are thinking of sending their daughters and sons to Bieber rehab. Yo! What really worries me is that within the fans were actually mothers who had JB painted all over their faces. I wonder what sangoma Justin Bieber is using to make the old and the young people go so crazy for him. Well, that's it for this week's Umko. See?
Bieber fever! I think I still know a couple of Bieber heads that are going crazy over Justin's performance.
Zach, and I'm sure after that Mgosi insert, they are going crazy as we speak. But I think let's let them cool off while we take a break. But when we return, we have more informative action lined up just for you. Welcome back to Bona Retsang, the only youth news and magazine show dedicated for the youth of Mzansi. If you've just joined us, where have you been? But it's all good because we still have a lot in store just for you. And Zach, my man, knows exactly what is next on the lineup.
That is right, PK, I do. And up next is Kamto, where we take a deeper look at an issue that is affecting the youth of Mzansi. Today we found out more about a learning difficulty called ADHD.